I'm going to turn over what I'm supposed to turn over when they figure out what that is. This has never been a trial. I never had a trial. I owe $145 million without ever having a trial on liability or damages. And I have doctored tape recordings that they, in Georgia, doctored that would prove that everything I said was absolutely true and correct. This is a persecution of a lawyer for representing his client. The lawyer who brought this case didn't disclose the fact that he was Hunter Biden's client, Hunter Biden's law partner, and he also was a lawyer for Burisma. You may not know Burisma, but if you buy my book, you'll read all about it. Burisma is a corrupt company in Ukraine that paid at least $8 million in bribes to Hunter Biden and to then Vice President of the United States, for which I gathered the proof, the only one who gathered it. And then I was the one who delivered the hard drive to the New York Post. I don't take any credit away from the New York Post, but occasionally when they take credit for their great work, they should say that I found it for them, I gave it to them, and I somewhat leaned on them to go with it. So I've been the source of all of Joe Biden's troubles, going back to 2017, when I first started to receive threats. I was surveilled by the FBI. They went and took my iCloud account, didn't tell me, the day I began representing Donald Trump, in order to spy on attorney-client communications. A couple of years later, they raided my apartment and my law office, and many of you wrote, where there's smoke, there's fire. Oh, he must be guilty. The FBI wouldn't do that. Except a year and a half to 2 years later, the U.S. attorney was required by my lawyer, Bob Costello, to write a letter to the grand jury saying that their investigation had uncovered no evidence of any kind of probable cause that Mr. Giuliani committed any crime. That's after went back 20 years of my business. If they didn't have probable cause then, how do they have probable cause to raid me? And how do they have probable cause to go take my iCloud account when I began representing Trump? And how the hell did they legally raid my law office when I had other clients? This case comes out of that group. It's brought by an activist group. The chief lawyer was Hunter Biden's law partner. The chief lawyer was a lawyer for the law firm that represented the single most corrupt company in Ukraine. That's the source of the $8 million bribe, at least. And there may be more in an offshore bank account, which would be available to the FBI if they questioned witnesses who were made available to them 4 years ago, and they never went to question. And finally, the lawyer who brought this case represents the company that's responsible for a $50 million bribe to the president of Ukraine, Poroshenko, who's the one who dropped the case to let out Hunter Biden, but most importantly, Mr. Zlochevsky, who is probably one of the richest oligarchs and organized criminals in Ukraine, who, by the way, is pro-Russian. So I have no doubt when this case was brought, it was financed not by these two women, but by the Bidens. And it was financed to do what they did to me. Very articulate.
Yeah, real classic.
Very, very big vocabulary, obviously. Could be the New York public schools have deteriorated. But the reality is that this case is obviously a political vendetta. It's just the mere fact that it's a $145 million judgment. I'm very, very disappointed that this judge doesn't take seriously how ridiculous the judgment is. I never got a trial. Originally, I was found liable because I didn't comply with discovery. And then, when we had our damages trial, the judge told me that if I testified to what I had been saying, she'd hold me in contempt. Now, the judge who did that was Judge Beryl Howell, who was the chief judge in D.C. who was the most bloodthirsty January 6th judge. She called the other judges together along the way and told them they weren't giving enough time to the January 6th defendants. And all throughout the trial, she just about allowed me to put on no witnesses. So I am pretty sure, you're never absolutely sure, this case can get reversed. This judge could wait until this case was affirmed by the D.C. Circuit. Most judges would, rather than just take all of a man's property away. But they are taking it away. Yeah, I have it all.
Right, so will you do that?
Well, I will tell them where it is, and they can have it. I mean, a couple of things that I think it's outrageous. No, I have to tell them where it is.
Right.
And they can come and get it.
No, he said you have to deliver it.
Well, we'll figure that out.
All right.
I certainly don't have to deliver it from Florida. So my
Judge,
car...
Can you talk about your torture comment, please, sir? It seems like there was a real heated moment early on where the judge said you need to list more people explaining where your financial assets were. You said, I don't want to do that because they're
No. I didn't.
What's going on?
I didn't say about my financial assets. The question was who put together the distribution of the property, and he wanted me to give the names of those people. In the past, in the 4 years of this completely political, vindictive case orchestrated by the Bidens, every name I've given has been tortured. They've been served at ridiculous hours. There have been threats of contempt. The orders, instead of making a request that's like 1 page or 2, they were getting requests like this. I was hoping the judge would be sensitive to the fact that this is not an ordinary case. This is a case for political persecution. Just the mere fact of the $145 million judgment tells the whole world that. There isn't a person that doesn't know that the judgment is ridiculous. These women didn't have $145 million worth of damage. Even if you believe that I wasn't telling the truth, they didn't have $145 million worth of damage. That was a punitive award from the District of Columbia voted for, I think, 92% for against Donald Trump. There's 100 January 6 defendants went to trial. Nobody's been acquitted. I don't know of any set of cases where nobody ever gets acquitted. My lawyer told me no chance of a fair trial in the District of Columbia. No chance, just impossible. Of course, that's not America, but hopefully that's going to change.